If you're not saying I don't know at least twice a day, then you're lying. If you're pretending like you know how to do all of this, then you're closing your eyes to learning. You're not getting any better. You're just stuck in this rut. Sometimes the best management comes from someone who can treat people kind, is very well organized, can communicate well. Maybe they have some experience in construction and maybe it's significant, but mostly I just want to make sure you're a teachable person that's going to treat people with respect, that's organized and has good moral values.
Welcome to another podcast with By the Stream Media. I'm Matt Butcher, and today I'm joined with Jon Honea of Northstar Contracting. Thanks for coming today, Jon.
Sure thing.
You are the owner, co-owner?
Co-owner, business partner with Josh Holbert.
Okay,
yeah.
Yes. And y'all started Northstar how long ago?
2010-ish, right in there.
Okay.
Yep.
Man, so you're going on, what is that now? We're 20?
Yeah, going on 12-ish, 13 years, depending on how.
Man, my math is bad.
Somewhere in there, kind of a vague start.
Yeah.
So.
Don't do math live.
Yeah.
That was bad. So, yeah, man, 12 years. So, By the Stream, we've been doing it for about 10 years in total now. And I remember back when y'all started Trust Motors. Was that at the same time, or which one was first?
No, Northstar was first.
Okay.
For several years there. I don't remember the exact year we started Trust, but that went on for about 4 or 5 years. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And so how did you get into like contracting and doing this?
To back up a touch,
yeah,
I played in a worship band until I was about 26.
And
27.
What was the name of that band? Because some people are going to know.
Ornan's Floor.
Ornan's Floor.
Don't ask me to say it twice.
Yeah. Now we're going to flash all this stuff
mistake.
Up on the screen. Yeah.
But we played in that, and then so doing that was what the Lord had us to do. And 26, 27 years old, the Lord just kind of led us out of that. And moving on from that, though, really couldn't afford with kids at home to go and make minimum wage somewhere.
Yeah.
Had to kind of to get after it. So.
And I guess you didn't have any skill set that you could like just jump into another business. Like I play guitar really well. You know?
Right. So the closest thing I had was construction. I did that when I was a teenager.
Okay.
Did that for a guy named Larry Watson here in town. Super awesome follower of Jesus that was just gracious enough to teach and not just employ you.
Nice.
So I did learn a good bit from him. And so it always felt a little like maybe a back burner thing.
Mm-hmm.
And Josh somewhat had a background in that. And of course, he played bass with me and Ornan's. And so it was an easy, hey, let's try this out. And he had no ambition for it to grow into what it is, but just what we were doing at the moment.
Yeah.
So
I can relate to that.
Yeah. Sure.
Because that's not what we plan to do.
Yeah.
What it is now is not what By the Stream started as.
Yeah, it's just a day at a time. Wherever the Lord leads is the only way to go.
So were you just doing like handyman kind of stuff, or were you like, we're gonna flip houses, or what was that?
Yeah, to all of it.
Okay.
Didn't really know necessarily where to go. We just kind of took what we could get, and I think it was easy to start. And we knew a lot of people from Ornan's and locally in the church, and they're, oh, that's cute, y'all are doing construction, we'll have you.
Y'all are so cute.
And so we were very grateful though for the opportunities that my folks and just people we knew really well that gave us, hey, y'all can come do this little thing or that little thing. And we were happy to have a week or even a couple days worth of work lined up.
Yeah.
We were happy with that.
So it's just you and Josh and a hammer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Stole every tool off my dad's workbench and threw it in a trailer we scraped money together for, and just bought a pickup, like a cheapo pickup, and just paid our dues for a little bit.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And that's what it takes, is just getting out there and doing it.
Sure.
You hit up your friends and family first and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I feel like, San Angelo has embraced Northstar, and now y'all do big projects. Now you're all in.
Yeah, been very blessed. A lot of great opportunities, and certainly a lot of wisdom from others that have helped us, and I'll take exactly no credit for it. The Lord has opened doors and provided opportunities, and all we've been responsible to do is walk through them. That's it. Just try to not foul it up. So, and we have fouled up on some things and learned a lot, and bumps and bruises along the way.
Yeah.
So, but it's been good.
Can I ask what one of the first bumps or bruises or foul ups that
Sure.
come to mind is? Those are valuable just to hear, where the mistakes were. Hopefully someone else can avoid that.
Yeah, sure. Just getting into some early on, real small construction, commercial construction.
Okay.
Some of those contracts can beat you up pretty hard, and so you really got to be very cognizant and aware of what the fine print is, so to speak. So we now operate with a lawyer here in town, James Skinner, who's incredible guy that I deal with all the time, and he really helps watch out for us. So just cross your T's, dot your I's, and when you don't know how to do that, find someone who does.
Right.
So,
no, I'm sure that is complicated. Once you get into it and then there's something else you weren't expecting, or something goes wrong, or they were thinking something different than what you were thinking.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We had a guy we did a gas station renovation for early on, and we just kind of on a handshake thought we'd get paid for that. And you want to operate that way. It's still my heart to operate. I mean, if I could do without a lawyer, and he would know this if he ever heard this, but he always fights me because we operate with a contract now, actually multiple different contracts and based on the job type. But my heart's desire would just be like, hey, man, I want to earn your trust. I want to trust you. Let's just handshake on this and do it like the black and white days. And you just can't do that anymore. And so we got into a deal where we thought that would work and get the whole job done and never got paid for it. And, and early on, that was pretty detrimental. It was pretty starving, if you will, to your budget. We pretty quickly adopted a real lightweight contract, very lightweight, something that just I made up and that felt real easygoing. And that developed over the years until a couple years ago, really, when it became more heavy duty out of just forcible.
Well, I'm sure
needs.
Now you have like maybe $1 million or
projects, we get into
and
some
it's like,
that are.
I can't eat this if it goes bad.
No, they're the kind that'll ruin you if you screw them up. So it's kind of crazy.
So with that guy, what was the end result? Did you just end up having to walk away? Did you
we
light a
walked
match
away.
and say, well, I paid for this? No.
We walked away. You're going to have those knocks, those hard knocks. And I always tell our staff, like, man, it's okay to make mistakes. We can't just keep making the same mistake.
Right.
And at some point, those mistakes become junior varsity mistakes, if you will. And you really can't have them. If we're making varsity level mistakes, hey, that's part of learning, part of growing. But if we're still making JV mistakes, that's just unacceptable. It's not okay.
Right.
So we kind of reclassify those as we learn them and grow them.
So now you're not the guy swinging the hammer anymore. Now you're directing people and telling them where to go, I assume.
Yeah. No, I'm really not. I wouldn't be the most qualified even anymore to do that. We've been very blessed. We have quite a few management level guys that watch over the dailies. And then we have a good group of field guys that I'll brag on all of them all day long. If anyone there doesn't know what they're doing, then it's certainly not them. I mean, there's a lot of really, really sharp guys. So no, I try to take more of a leadership role, a vision role, help with the accounting quite a bit, and just bounce around from department and see what I can't do to help. If it's an acute situation, I might get into the weeds and help try to solve it, or maybe it's best if I just stay out of the way and let the people we've trusted to do it. So.
Yeah. Was that a hard transition for you to go from being out in the field to now you're looking at books and management and all that, or was that a slow, easy thing?
It did get to occur fairly slowly, kind of part-time-ish to ultimately full-time over the course of a couple of years. And the growth was always significant, but then it ramped up in the last several years quite a bit. But no, we had a good time of transition there that didn't just totally throw me in the fire. And Josh certainly helped a tremendous amount with that. And he would kind of cover why I would do books and vice versa sometimes, and kind of figure it out as you go. And ultimately you learn that it's best if I hire somebody that's more qualified to do this, so you're busy growing the business strong enough. At some point you have to just kind of step out there and, okay, man, we're going to, even though this might feel expensive and costly, we're going to pay someone to do this right, so that it's done. This is one area that is done correctly. I probably held on to the estimating side of things for the longest period of time. Yeah. And really in the last 3 years have I given that up to a couple guys that have been there for some years now that are very qualified to do it and do a great job of it. So
I would say, that's probably one of the more tricky things, even for us in estimating video projects or whatever. Every project is different. Yeah. So you have to go in there and be like, okay, well, and someone might say, how much does a house cost? Yeah. Like we get that with videos, like how much does a video cost? And you're like, well, what?
That's an impossible question. Yeah. And has just unending variables. And certainly in the last several years, it's had variables we can't even anticipate. So we largely don't answer that question as much as we can help it.
Right. So, yeah.
Without developing a tremendous amount of plans and asking a tremendous amount of questions. And then ultimately, we can answer.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, how was like COVID and all that for y'all? Because prices shot up, materials were scarce.
Yeah, it was just like I'm sure everybody else, just a pretty good rodeo. I immediately kind of put on a hat of trying to plan for what does our business look like with this amount of employees? What does it look like with the lower amount? What about a lower amount? And what contingencies would we make if business reduced so drastically that we needed to be a company of 10 people, or a company of 20 people or whatever it may be? And so that was where a lot of my focus was immediately. Is like, all right, we know how to operate at the level we're at fairly well and still learning, but what would we do to step backwards? What would that look like? And then none of that came true. So none of that happened. Everything we had booked and planned on still continued on, and then even more so, we further booked even a lot more work.
Wow.
And still don't understand that one.
Yeah.
But demand went up, and so we spent a good year playing from behind, if you will, even from a planning standpoint. And largely, I think that probably frustrated some customers, but it was the only safe move that I felt like I could make as a leader for the company, to protect. My heart, my passion is to protect those that show up to work every morning.
Yeah.
And that they come and they have a job the next day, and the next day, and the next day, and not take a step that ultimately leads us backwards.
Yeah,
and
that'd be hard.
So sometimes that's a short way of summarizing it. It can be frustrating on the receiving end, on the customer's end. Hey, why don't y'all have a guy here or more guys here or there? Well, from a leadership standpoint, going through all that craziness, I could only make the steps that I felt like were safe to protect the whole company. And sometimes it would be at the expense of that. Hey, I don't have a guy there today because I don't want to step out there and have that.
Yeah.
And then you mix in materials that went AWOL. And so you'd start again in the heart of trying to keep business rolling and income coming in. You'd start almost intentionally too many jobs because one would get to a stopping point prematurely and you couldn't do anything about it.
Right.
Because you normally would have material to keep going. So you'd start another one and another one. And where we normally would operate at the 100% we would normally operate at, we were running maybe 125, 135% of jobs that we should be.
Because this one had all the studs it needed, but you ran out of drywall.
Sure.
So this one, you just need concrete. And then this one, you're digging trenches. And over here, now you got the roof you can put on. So it's like all these different,
Which stresses out from a management standpoint and
keeping track of all that.
Communication, and undoubtedly things fell off the table. But you just do the best you can, and we were able financially to come through that stable and well, and everybody still has their job. So for all the negatives that came with it, there were some certain positives, and we're here today, and things are largely returning to normal. Not everything. Some prices are returning, so others aren't. Availability is getting better, not great, but better. So
availability for you or
materials.
Materials. Yeah.
Just so you kind of ebb and flow with that, and it's still a lot better. You woke up during that time, and some days there was days like we literally couldn't get paint and couldn't get sheetrock mud, and okay, well we can't do anything without some of those things, Can't get studs. Okay, well, that's crazy. I mean, shortages were a big problem for sure. But people largely, our customers are incredible. Like they largely hung in there and understood, and the majority of them were very, very kind. So brag
that's
on
good.
them too. Yeah.
That is good. Is most of your clientele like here in San Angelo, or are y'all scattered further out than that? Or
yeah, I'd say most of it is here. That's probably an accurate word. We do travel, though, to Big Lake, Big Spring, Zona, Eden, those top towns that are within an hour and a half away, something like that. So.
Okay. What's one of your favorite projects that you've done?
Well, we've had the privilege of working for the Boys Ranch since about, I guess, 2019 or 18. I can't exactly remember, but for a good number of years now. We really enjoy those folks. They're very, very solid people, and many of them love the Lord and just honor the Lord with their lives, and we've been just very blessed to be a part of that effort. They have some old facilities, and kind of as a blessing in disguise, they were hit pretty hard with a tornado out there.
Really? How long ago was that?
I think that was 18,
okay.
I think, or 9. It's hard for me to exact. I'm terrible with dates.
No, that's all right.
And so that, thankfully, nobody was hurt, nearly hurt, but not hurt. And that really gave them a good boost insurance-wise to be able to do some things they hadn't been able to do. And they were gracious enough to trust us to do it. And we've been working there for a long time. We have a very good working relationship with them. And we're building a lot of new multi-million-dollar facilities for them right now. And so those boys are not only blessed to have the leadership they have over them, but then they're also going to get the fun of having some new places to play and hang out and
That's cool.
hopefully grow and learn and just advance in life.
That's awesome. When do you complete that kind of stuff, or is it just always on?
Who knows? Yeah, we've got a pretty large multi-purpose building, a gym and weight room and kitchen facility we're building right now. We'll hope to finish that in the next several months, and then we've drawn a lot of plans for other projects with them down the road that I don't know if they're sharing those yet or not, but we'll see if those come to fruition or not. If they do, then we'll probably be there another 5 or 8 years. So, yeah, but it's been great. And Crockett National Bank.
Oh, yeah. The lobby y'all did in there.
Yeah, so we got to do all 3 floors and skylight and the whole bit. And Todd Huckabee over there has not only been a very close friend and mentor to me business-wise and spiritually speaking, but he's just done phenomenal things with that bank. And we've got to do all their work for years, and so love working over there. Love working. I still do.
Yeah. No, that turned out really nice.
Yeah.
I've been in there a couple times.
Thanks.
Yeah. So what would you say in regards to contracting? There's a lot of different contractors here in town. There's small ones, big ones, and I would say Northstar is probably the largest company, especially like internal guys. Like most everyone that you use is internal staff, and you don't use a lot of subs. Is that right?
Yeah, mostly that's true.
Okay, yeah.
We have our own plumbing company, NS Plumbing, and then from carpentry and drywall work and any kind of trim work and finish work, we have a number of guys that are capable of those things, so we can cover most bases.
Electrical?
No, we subcontract to Advanced Electrical Solution, Preston Shear. They're just an easy, perfect solution to that.
Yeah.
So that's worked great. No need to fix it. But largely that allows us to be more flexible and attentive and control the narrative on some of these jobs in-house. And when we get maybe overloaded here or there, which kind of running through the COVID thing because of the job count, certainly we did. So we'll reach out and subcontract still to certain few select guys we really trust. So
that makes sense. And as like a homeowner that has dealt with like a contractor and then especially subcontractors, the contractor is great and attentive and knew his stuff, but like sometimes those subs are just guys that like maybe they want to try out like a new crew or something like that, or these guys are drinking on the job and then it's like...
Yeah, it can get crazy. I think for us, I don't really want to hang my hat on and trust going back to longevity and control of protecting our company. I'm not really interested in hanging my hat on how this subcontractor and this one feel like doing business that day.
Yeah, that's hard.
Maybe they're playing their A game this week, but I don't want to hold hope out that they're going to continue to play their A game. I'd rather have more of that control in-house and protect the longevity of the company. So
that makes sense.
It's kind of the thinking behind it.
Yeah. What would you say is kind of one of the key components that makes Northstar different from all those contractors? Is it just because you have all those guys in-house, or is it?
I think that's a big part of it. I'm a pretty big proponent of just from a standpoint of how you treat people, really not trying to do all the very normal contractor stereotypes, if you will.
Okay.
I mean, if we're going to say we're going to do something, it's things that all of us learned hopefully when we were little kids. Do what you say you're going to do, show up when you say you're going to show up, try to finish when you're going to say you're done. Those things they're admittedly not that easy to control sometimes, but communication is huge. It has to be top priority. It has to be forefront, and even if it's bad news, it's got to be communicated. We try not to hire, especially in our management staff, people that maybe we have some that have a lot of many years experience, but a lot of times in our industry, a lot of that experience comes with arrogance and pride and kind of, I know it all and I don't need to be retaught this, or there's no new way to do this. I very much don't subscribe to that. I think if I tell my boys and my daughter now, hey, if you're not saying I don't know at least twice a day, then you're lying. If you're pretending like you know how to do all of this, then you're closing your eyes to learning. You're not getting any better. You're just stuck in this rut. So you have to be careful, I think, while we certainly glean from many people's experience on our staff, especially in the field, that sometimes the best management comes from someone who can treat people with kind, is very well organized, can communicate well. Maybe they have some experience in construction, and maybe it's significant with some of our guys, but mostly I just want to make sure you're a teachable person that's going to treat people with respect, that's organized, and has good moral values. And in fact, most of our guys are strong believers in Jesus, and I won't be shy to say that goes a long, long ways with me. It's an immediate underlying continuity and core value system that's easy to get going from there.
Yeah.
So I think that's just critical. If you're someone who's not teachable, then you won't make it at Northstar, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, that's good. I can attest to a lot of the guys on your crew because I used to work at them at House of Faith, and now they've transitioned over to doing contracting.
Sure.
And yeah, that's awesome. What would you say is kind of a key element for Northstar's growth and stability and that kind of thing? Are you doing lots of marketing and branding? Is it all word of mouth? Like, what are you doing to keep this thing growing and let people know about yourself?
We do some marketing, probably not as much as maybe we should. We do some Facebook work presence. We have Colin. He does that for us and has done a great job with it. And that's worked pretty good, I think, as far as at least representing some of the work we've done, which I think is pretty critical to just show people. People want to see pictures. And
Before
what have
and
you
afters.
done? Yeah, I mean,
that's great.
People are pretty interested in an eye candy. Hey, what can you show me? And early on, Josh and I worked with my sister, Christy, and she helped us understand some marketing things she's pretty excellent at it, pretty professional at it, but it's something that she helped us on a basic level that really got us off on the right foot with just looking different and appearing different. So that's why we've gone with black trucks instead of white trucks. And
see those black trucks
out.
all over San Angelo.
Yeah. So I think that has been really effective. But yard signs, like basic things. And then I think the biggest thing is just trying to not screw things up, like building over time the fact that you did good work, you did what you said, and checking as many of those low-lying boxes as you can that are just, in my opinion, the basics. I mean, it's a low bar in some ways in the construction industry as far as how to get above the bar is just do a few things right. And treat people right. I think when you do that, there's no shortcut to gaining a quality reputation outside of just pay your dues and do them right. And that just takes time. And admittedly, we've been very blessed because I don't consider 12 years doing this a very long time as far as paying your dues goes. I think that the Lord has just absolutely blown those doors open. And like I said before, I wouldn't take any credit for having figured this out or that out and done this right because of this. We've done this good. To be honest, it's just been honor the Lord with your steps, man. Do what he tells you to do and do it with excellence. And, he keeps opening doors for us. So,
that's awesome. And that's kind of a testament to just, you say it's not you, but you're the one still submitting yourself to the Lord and being subject to that and like being willing to listen and do things honorably, maybe even if it isn't like the most profitable way to get it. I could have gotten more money if I would have just cut a few corners or done it this way, that kind of thing. And
when you get into the thick of it, you see why there are some certainly not dogging everybody in our industry. I think there's some excellent guys out there that are far, far better than us even.
It's a mix. It's a spectrum of these super shady guys and these amazing.
And I think some of the shady reputation that surfaces is when you get into it, you see a lot of opportunity on our end that you really could mess some people over and do some things shady and maybe get away with it for a while, maybe make a little extra here. And, we even designed our offices very wide open, no doors, very transparent for just accountability, practical accountability and spiritual accountability. And it is just something that I think when you just are bent on, we're not going to do things that way, invoicing wise, 3 different sets of eyes see those invoices before they ever go out. You're not going to get away with anything. And we've designed it that way. And I think that the Lord honors that. And I think that you sign up for some pretty tough losses sometimes. And you're going to eat it pretty hard. And honestly, over the years, as that's happened times, there's a weird sensation of being joyful about that and just knowing that at the end of the day, none of this works anyways if we're not trusting the Lord. We all go home anyways if we're going to trust on man's wisdom. So we can treat this customer right in this moment, credit them this or whatever, give that money back, don't charge them for this, whatever it may be, with joy. And we can do it knowing that, hey, if this all falls apart, as long as we've done this in a way that honors the Lord, I can tell my kids, I can look them in the face and say, hey, this didn't work out. Dad's going to find a different job or something. But if we're thinking that we can hang our hat on man's wisdom and figure out some snaky way to get there, we're just headed down a dark road real quick. It's going to crash and burn. So I think that if you commit to treating people right, even behind the scenes when it's tough, and it will be tough, that I think that you can expect good things. I mean, there's plenty of money to be made in construction, and if you even with the losses, it'll all pan out, just fine. So,
have you had to fix anyone else's mistakes? Like come in and be like, oh no.
Yeah.
How hard is that to come in and explain how bad it is and what they did?
So I think it's important to call it like you see it.
Yeah.
So that you can reestablish what the right standard should be.
Yeah.
Our management staff and even our field guys are very well versed on, hey, if this is the case, let's never even one time use the name of the company that was before us. This is totally irrelevant. Doesn't matter who they were, how they got here, and any of that. You never make it forward in any kind of business by stepping on those that are your competitors. That doesn't do anybody any good. And who knows the other side of the story? That's always, in my mind, is
that's
like,
true.
Well, I know this company has got some good guys and they're knowledgeable. So for them to be a part of this work, there must have been some other side of the story, and you don't get to know what that is.
Yeah.
They're not there to defend themselves. So we just don't make it about them at all. And we just make it about, all right, let's make it right.
Yeah.
So move on. So,
okay. No, that's fair. That's fair. And that's honorable to think about. Yeah. Maybe they weren't trying to be shady. Maybe it got cut off before they could fix it, or they didn't want to pay for this or that, but no, that makes sense. Have you walked into some jobs though that like you had to do a lot of work or like really change on how it was? It's like, we're going to have to just demo this and start over. Yeah,
we have several I won't mention by name, but come to mind that are,
Give me one example of.
I had a house in one of the neighborhoods here. I don't want to say that because they might know, but a large home, probably 5,000 square foot home. And it was just a total disaster. It was probably halfway through that renovation where we came in. They had fired them off. And
was it like a gut job and they were totally redoing the whole house?
Yeah.
Okay.
There were no plans drawn, which is largely why most of it was off the rails to begin with. Wow. We have 2 full-time in-house draftsmen that do nothing but draw plans all day long, and both of them are just straight geniuses. They're incredible at envisioning what someone wants and planning it and putting it into production, permitting it, the whole thing. And that's, when you have that, it makes things really simple. And when you don't have that, you're going to screw it up, no doubt. And so things that were done wildly out of order had to just kind of all be taken out and start over. So that was a several-year project that got that back in order.
And a big house too to do all that on.
Yep, very sweet people, very kind people, and they're in good shape now. So.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
What should people look for when they're hiring a contractor? Like if it's not going to be Northstar, it's going to be someone else. What's some giveaways for this is probably a guy I shouldn't go with, or what are some things that they should look for or anticipate, expect, or demand?
Right. Well, I think the only way I know to answer that is to look to what I strongly value hiring wise and staff wise, what we've built. I mean, it's putting your money where your mouth is, investing in what we think is the most meaningful help on a job site. I think that many construction companies in town know what they're doing when it comes to actual work, and many are very smart guys, some way smarter than I am, and I look up to a lot of them. I think that it lies in management though. If the guy doing the work is also the guy writing the estimate and is also the guy making the invoices and is also the guy coming to do the warranty work, who's also the guy trying to do the next job to make more money, just be cautious. I mean, especially if you're doing a large job, because it's hard to wear all those hats. And Josh and I did that early on when you're doing smaller work and smaller amounts of work. But if you have a larger renovation you're trying to do, or a new home build, even a custom home, then you want to see that they've got some management in place, at least. It doesn't have to be a ton of it, or maybe not even as much as we have. I think we probably have the most management in town and department-wise. But I think that if you don't have that in place, then you should just be cautious, even as much as you like the person or trust the person. There's only so many hours in a day. So, and the other word is trust. I mean, like if you don't trust them, then when money comes on the table, people's true colors come out. It always does, and that can be disappointing, both customer side and contractor side. But so important to call around and see how did it go with these people, and kind of going back to that when you're asking that. Remember, there is always 2 sides to a story, and there always is. So we wish we could defend ourselves many times, and that someone says something bad about us. Well, all right, well, we can't really say much to it because we're not going to get that opportunity. But I think a big piece of it's management, and just make sure that you feel like they're trustworthy, that they're not going to mess you over. And I think also contract is, I've come a long way on that. If they're just operating off a handshake and a very vague estimate, then, and where are the plans for this? If some of those things or not all of those things are in place, then I'd have a lot of caution for that. No matter what they promise, at the end of the day, sure, this person probably could do it, but if they don't look well prepared to do it, then I'd be cautious. If you're calling and, hey, when can you start? Well, I can start next week. You probably could start next week on this project, but it's probably not the wisest thing to start next week. Maybe there's a season of planning, and we live in a Amazon Prime world, or Prime-ish world now. It's not really and people want things now. And I think that it's important that we try to retrain some of our customers' thoughts on that. It's like, hey, we want it for you now too, but it's probably not wise to get going that quick.
Why is that?
I mean, with the planning. I mean, I think our draftsmen, they need time to draw, get the details ironed out, ask what you think about it, make sure you understand. I mean, a plan set can be very confusing to look at, and it takes almost years to really get privy to how to really understand that at a glance. So you really want to train that customer to understand what they're looking at and then approve it. So we live and die by those plans, and we really operate off those plans. And then when we got them where we want them, then we ultimately send those to permitting, which unfortunately takes a tremendous amount of time with our city right now. But to try to play by those rules, let's get the permits in order. Let's get those things how they should be. And then let's make sure we have the right field crews and management available from other jobs that we might already be doing, ready to actually execute on that job in a way that treats everybody fairly. So if somebody's telling you, we can start that next week, or I'd just be real cautious of it. It's a very busy industry right now. There's not very many contractors that are hurting for work. So the demand is high and the supply of contractors is low. So anybody that's able to start right away, man, I'd be really, really cautious of that comment.
Yeah.
So,
okay. Overly, excited about starting or.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it takes time to do it right, and there's just not a substitute for that. You really have to spend the time to do it right. So
fair enough. All right. So last question, where do you see Northstar next 10 years? Are you going to keep growing? Are you happy where you're at, or?
I still have some things I want to explore. I probably drive a lot of our team crazy because we put our hand in some different things, trying to just envision this circle where I want to find the boundaries of it, where I see, okay, we don't like to go beyond that, so let's come back from that. And then when we kind of identify what we like fully, what all spectrums we like, then I want to weed that out and fine tune it. And I think that lands for us in some measure of commercial work and residential, but higher end full home remodels and custom homes and things like that. But we still do a lot of different things that are outside of those categories.
Yeah, little remodels and small jobs.
Sure. And I think the things I want to try moving forward will still take me a couple years to fine tune, and then hopefully we'll real tight what our strong wheelhouse is. But I'm still exploring things, and I've got a wife that's very, very gracious and supportive to allow us to dream a little bit and explore those things. So without her, I would not have any chance at exploring these things. And she's just a super supportive woman.
That makes a difference.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I can attest to that.
Totally critical.
Yeah.
Totally critical. So, but I think in a couple years we can fine tune that and just simplify. I don't really have a desire to grow in ways that might be quantified by numbers or whatever, so much as I do just want to grow in excellence. I want to be the absolute best at doing this in at least our town, and if not greater than that. It's not enough for my satisfaction to just be good at it.
Yeah, be the expert at this thing.
Yeah, and that doesn't come from arrogance or thinking that would be easy to achieve.
It's the pursuit of wanting to be excellent.
But I think it has to be the goal.
Yeah.
It is. I don't know why we'd set the bar any lower than the best.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to me. I can't comprehend that. So, and we have a long ways to go to get there. So, I don't know. To me, that's what growing would look like, is just becoming extremely good at this. So, got a long way to go.
You've come a long way as well.
Sure.
So that's good.
Sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on our show today. I think that was really helpful. And hope to see what Northstar has going on next.
Thanks for having us. Appreciate it.
If people want to follow like your latest projects and that kind of stuff, where should they, or if they want to call you to do their project?
Yeah, Facebook's probably the easiest place to look for us. You can just search us Northstar Remodels and you can find things from there, the website and everything from there. Phone numbers all on there.
Okay.
So,
Facebook.
Yep.
There you go. Cool. Thanks, man.
All right. Thank you.